NS Hosa, Axiom Acer, MVP, FX Open, LGIM, Azubu, Prime, Startail.
Welcome back to the GSTL, and so far we had pretty dominant performance by Sniper, but it was shut down by Younghwa, and now things are getting a little bit more interesting.
Younghwa with a really nice strategy here on Whirlwind, able to finally take down Sniper, and this was really important for his team. Being down 0-3 would have probably broken their neck, but now they are back to business with the Commander taking charge against the strong Protoss that they sent out.
You know, I asked on Twitter earlier this morning who people thought was going to win and what their predictions for score were, and most people, I got an overwhelming amount of tweets, I'm talking like 12, 15 or so, people saying they think that LGIM is going to win 4-2, and for that to actually happen now, Younghwa has to win the rest of the games. He can't lose a single one, and MVP is looking strong. They're ahead here. Keen coming out on Red City, it's his map choice.
We have to the right side, to the left, of course, Younghwa, the Protoss player who finally bested Sniper on Whirlwind. But still, MVP is ahead, and Younghwa has to win more than only one game to change the tides of the battle.
Yeah. Keen is looking ready, smiling, feeling happy. If he loses here, that puts them on a tie score, so the pressure is more so on Younghwa right now.
Yeah. The map choice, of course, goes to the MVP player, and Keen is a player who is really confident in his abilities, especially in the Protoss vs Terran matchup. We've seen him already in this season play against Alicia in the opening match that MVP had against Axiom Acer. Keen took the game, was later defeated by Ryung, but against Protoss so far he has a flawless record this season.
Yep, very strong, looking extremely good. Keen, somebody who has shown us in the past great drop play, and on this map I think he can show it to us as well. It's going to be very difficult for Younghwa to take a third and then hold against that lazy boy push, the SCV pull on 3 bases on 2-2. Let's find out if Keen can take this series, or will Younghwa start a streak here at the GSTL.
The LGIM Protoss, he starts to the top right. We have in red
LGIM Younghwa.
Successful against Sniper, he's now up against a Terran opponent. MVP has sent out their second player in this team match. To the top left, we have the Commander.
MVP Keen.
Keen, as mentioned before, already played against Protoss once this season. He played against Alicia when his team was up against Axiom Acer. They lost the team match in the end, but Keen was able to take down the Protoss player. So far in the GSTL, even though we are only in the 3rd week, he's proven himself to be quite resilient in this matchup, really successful.
Notice that on this map, there are several different ways for the Protoss to be attacked. On this map, if he takes a third that's close to Keen, then he can just be attacked directly by ground because they're at close spots. If he takes a third that's over towards the 2 o'clock base, then Keen can bounce between the main base and the 3rd base with speed medevacs really easily. He also has a huge area where he can boost away and escape. So this is going to be very tough positions for Younghwa.
And what's up with Younghwa and his scouting patterns? This guy he has some spider senses, and they were tickling every single time he plays on a 4-player map. Second 4-player map in a row where he finds his opponent on spawning position number 1.
Yeah, I think he may have also decided, you know, if I see Keen at the top left, it's going to change my build entirely because of the positions. If he sees on bottom right, then he can take that base at the 12 o'clock much more comfortably and feel better against drop play with that.
And Keen is probably looking at this like, nah, why? Why did he see this right away? So now he knows that there's a gas build coming his way. One of the things that I want to point out here is that Keen didn't even bother to put the supply depot at the ramp, so there would be no way for him to block out the probe if he would have arrived a little bit earlier. He really was like, either you're going to scout in the right direction and you're going to spot me, or I will have the Marine out or my Reaper in this case early on to deny your scouting probe.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool choice because it saves him a little bit of resources. It does make you vulnerable to a few different things, but it's also safer against Void Ray play, for example, with no depots at the wall.
And Yonghwa is still sticking around. He wants to see what's coming out of the barracks, and with the timing now, he knows that there's not going to be a Marine.
Yep, and he knows there's no factory laid down next to the barracks, so he knows, okay, this is definitely a Reaper for sure. And Keen actually checks to the bottom first, so he's unlucky. He sees the probe comes first, and he's like, well, could be either bottom or right, so he gets a little bit unlucky. He's going to scout just a little bit later.
And this is also the reason why Yonghwa pulls his probe to the bottom left. He doesn't pull it to the top right. First of all, with the bottom left, he might be able to distract his opponent and to sell the idea that the main base of the Protoss play is actually located bottom left. And he can still try to hide the probe if the Reaper doesn't follow and go in for a second scout.
Yeah, and he will actually, if he commits, be able to come up here and see the reactor expand that's following the Reaper, and he actually goes in right now. Meanwhile, of course, the SB sees everything. He'll be taken out. The probe, though, in the main base of Keen, very crucial.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he wants to see double gas, and he does.
Yeah, goes in, and we still have the probe at the bottom of the ramp. The Marine is not even there yet to defend it. He went into the reactor right away. So now there's the scout, the Reaper already there to spot the Nexus. Scouting-wise, both players are doing a really good job here, making sure that they get as much information as possible.
Yeah. Legend didn't highlight it, but remember, Yonghwa does know about the command center and the reactor. Of course, with the Nexus timing coming down here for Yonghwa, he's going to be pretty comfortable with this, knowing that, yeah, his expansion is earlier than mine, but I'm going to have the saturation faster because I made mine on the low ground. I don't have to make an orbital.
The Reaper with a little bit of a twist here.
Yeah. This little position on the high ground where the Reaper is right now can be a problem. In the mid-game, when drops come out, you can drop Mirage on the high ground and drop them on the low ground, really annoy a Zealot-heavy composition.
Yonghwa is really trying to find that Reaper. He's so annoyed by it.
I think he may be able to get it this time.
Yeah, oh no, he doesn't actually. The Reaper is still escaping. And this is just a pain in the neck for Yonghwa because he wants to get rid of the Reaper. He knows that there's always the danger of the Queen just maneuvering the Reaper into the main base, getting a good look at what exactly is going on there. And Yonghwa is actually heading into really fast double forge play.
Yeah, very quick Raider style upgrades coming down.
That's going to be so cool. You know, we've seen a similar style already from a player just recently when we had Axiom Asa playing, when Crank was using this build on Belcher Vestige.
Yeah.
So this is a really interesting build, especially since we now also have the Twilight Council coming up right away.
He's going to have a lot of tech very quickly. He will miss, however, the very important detection from the robotics, so Widow Mines may become a problem for him if they are dropped at all.
But guys, think about what's happening here. He has one gate. He's going into expand double forge into Twilight. This is a build that we have seen Crank used. And this is actually amazing because with the Mothership Core now and with enough energy for double photon overcharge, you can do so much as Protoss. You can play this really greedy, and this is exactly what he does. Even going now into the robotics, this is exactly the build that Crank has been using.
Yeah. He needs the robotics, of course, for detection, and it gives him observers not only to detect Widow Mines, but to scout, see timing, see move-outs, and it's absolutely necessary. You can't skip it. Yeah. Keen knows, though, that the robotics is a little bit late, so he's going to send this drop across, which, in fact, does have one Widow Mine in it, so that's going to be very annoying to deal with. He may get 2 volleys off before the observer is ready.
He needs a photon overcharge. That much is for sure here. And with the photon overcharge, you will be able to do a bit. Keep in mind that the upgrades are going to be massively ahead for Yonghwa if he doesn't lose too much here. Here comes the Widow Mine, immediately starting to burrow. He needs to pull those probes away, and he does a second too late and loses way too many.
Yep, and the second shot actually should be ready before the observer's in the correct spot, so he's going to leave his probes here a bit risky.
He lost 3 already. Here comes the photon overcharge once again. The afterburners save the medivac. Barely.
One shot would have killed it, but he does get it away. There's a second drop heading towards the natural. He does have enough energy, like you said, for the second photon overcharge if he wants it.
Here goes the Widow Mine. 3 kills. Could have been a little bit less, but not too much. Keen still needs to do more damage. And here we go again.
Yep, drop goes in. Kills 1 probe already. There's a second Widow Mine with this drop. And this is something that he hasn't seen yet. He needs to pull the observer back. Is he going to do it?
The observer has to come into play again. He's building another one. He's trying to chrono boost it. The photon overcharge still doing some damage, but not taking down the medivac.
Yep, not quite able to do that.
Widow Mine is gone though.
Yes, he did actually bring the observer with him. The second drop is here, and we talked about how good Keen's drops are, but the drop defense has been so decent that Keen has not really been able to capitalize on these drops all too much. He saves the medivac, gets a stalker, best trade he can hope for, does not get the probe though.
Yeah, but still, this is a very, very good game here for Yonghwa. Keen is doing a lot of damage, or at least a lot of He's pulling up quite the fuss. The big problem, though, is that the upgrades are massively ahead now for Yonghwa.
Yeah. The one thing that Keen has going for him is that he had this third command center for a while. He has the better worker count, and you never want to be in that position as a Protoss. And what will probably happen is we'll see that same timing attack we talked about before, but with the upgrades this soon for Yonghwa and his great defense against the drop play, he should be able to have enough to deal with that type of push, and Keen, as a result, may decide to cancel that plan.
But the drop play is once again good. He needs to pull out the probes, and he does just in time to save most of them. Only one in gas was annihilated. Oh, not even that one. Now finally dead. But the dropship is going to be taken out, and now the Marines, of course, will follow suit.
This is a better trade for Yonghwa every time, but you can see that with the command center that Keen has had for so long, he's starting to pull ahead in supply. And this is how this build goes. If he does the build that we're thinking, look at the barracks count he has. You get stem, you get combat shields, you go into 2-2, you hit your attack as 2-2 is finishing, and you know you have this period of time where your third command center is up before the third nexus, you build a faster army. Yeah, your opponent may have better upgrades than you, but you have this big, superior army, and if you control it well and you pull all your SCVs, you can oftentimes just kill the Protoss.
Yeah, the problem that we have here for Yonghwa is that he doesn't have any area of effect just yet. He already completed the Bay, but he doesn't have a Colossi in production. He went into the charge upgrade first, which is very necessary for him. But this is a very difficult situation for both players. Keen, on one hand, has the option of making the choice to be very aggressive, but he goes into third. And on the other hand, you have Yonghwa, who needs to stay alive up to the point where he has area of effect damage, and then hopefully also +3/+3 if he can afford it, which is right now not the case.
See, that third base that he has is very much exposed to drops right now, but as far as a ground-based attack, this is not going to be something that Keen can really go into. Keen is getting the armor upgrade for his Hellbats, which indicates that he's not going to be going into that timing attack we described before, most likely.
And here we go. He cancels +3 attack because he wants to get the Colossus out and the range upgrade first. He realizes that he needs some area of effect damage. If there is going to be a huge push incoming, he can't rely on only gateway units. That's just not going to work. So he will delay his +3/+3 a little bit, and this gives Keen some time to at least catch up in upgrades to a certain extent.
Yeah, you're right. And the Hellbat upgrades are going to be so important. Now he's got two separate drops of Hellbats. One going here, he gets picked off, but the one that's going towards the natural, he's going to have to be careful about that. He actually, where did that drop end up going? There it is.
Yeah, moves in, and here they are. The Hellbats are being dropped, and they take out a lot of probes immediately.
Yep, he's going to have to pick up. Oh, the Hellions not going to escape today.
This job is also not going to make it, as you can just see. But now suddenly the third is exposed, and he's using it. He is moving in, and these are those Terran attacks that are so dangerous. The damage output is just incredible with Stim.
Yonghwa's drop defense, though, has been very, very nice. He's got perfect coverage with his observers of every ground-based path. He also has that one spot that spots any sort of drop that will go around the north. That's how he knew about all these drops before they happen. He's going to see this one coming through as well.
But you can really see that the build for Yonghwa is not lining up as you would want to. He is now in a position where he is still on 2-2. He didn't start 3-3 just yet. He's just now started +3 armor. But at the same time, Keen is basically about to catch up. He's on the same amount of attack upgrades. He's just lacking a bit in the armor department.
Here comes another boosted Hellbat drop, and anything Keen gets here is huge, and he's going to get a lot.
Keen is 50 supply ahead at this point. His macro game is just much better in this particular match than Yonghwa's.
He did enough damage with his Marine drops. Hellbat will be cleaned up, only taking some shields. But his Marines did enough damage to where he was able to get that third base up, force a defensive Yonghwa, and then just crank out all the production he needed to power out this massive supply lead. And like you said, he's catching up in the upgrades.
He can rely on a very solid economy the entire game. He was not pressured by Yonghwa at all. On the other hand, he lost a few medivacs, but he was still able to force Yonghwa to pull off probes so many times. And Yonghwa just doesn't have the backup that Keen has, and it really shows. He's maxed out right now, and he already has a bank.
Yeah, he's still ahead in Harvesters. The one thing he's missing, of course, is a fourth command center, but he may never even need one. Now actually he's starting it, as I speak, at the third base location.
Yeah. He has a double starport for the Viking production. He's going into additional bases, Ghost Academy on the way, upgrades being researched. Keen is playing a phenomenal game here.
Don't forget he's getting +2 armor for his Hellbats. Of course, going to help the medevacs as well. And this Zealot run by is going to annoy him, but this attack may actually just end the game. Good flank with the Vikings coming from the left side.
A great position for the Vikings, taking out those Colossi immediately, and a lot of bio units for Keen, pushing their way through the defense of Yonghwa and going straight for the third.
He is annihilating the entire army. And the Zealot run by down here does kill the bunker, but I don't know if it's going to matter. He can't really hold this next wave of attacks. He's going to stim, run in here.
Oh, that's way too much. He's moving in right now. Another stim is good. He's moving in, taking down the mothership core. Photon overcharge has been used, but the base is gone, and so are the hopes of Yonghwa winning another game.
GG.
GG indeed. LGIM is suddenly down 1-3.
Yep. Yonghwa just not able to put any pressure on Keen, whereas Keen was the constant attacker. The spawning locations were tough for Yonghwa. He started into those upgrades, but because of all the attacks he faced, he knew, I gotta get these Colossi out, so his upgrades kind of got messed up a little bit there. And Keen just never stopped the aggression. And his third base was up for so long, so uncontested, that Yonghwa just could not compete with the blunt army force that came out from him.
Yonghwa looks at the camera, he doesn't even know what hit him in this game. It was just really well played by Keen. He made it look easy.
Yeah, he really, really did.
And you know, thinking about how well that turned out at the beginning with the opening that, well, Yonghwa chose, then he started losing units against the drops, especially economy. The macro game of Keen in this match was just phenomenal. And now, well, LGM is down to the last player.
I'm feeling Kangho here, but, you know, it could be anybody. LGIM has put out players that surprise people more often than not, and it could be somebody like Ruin. We could see Ragnarok even. You know, I feel like Nesty and MVP are not on the cards today, though.
I could see MVP coming out at the last player. On the other hand, Kangho, aka Lucira, is a very strong opponent to face. I feel 1 or 2. But as you can see on the bench, we also have Squirtle to the top right.
Yeah, don't forget about him.
Has a lot of wins already this season, especially in the first match that LGIM played. He got 3 wins for his team. So I think he's currently undefeated in the GSTL, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
He only played in the first game, so he would be a good option.
Yeah, you know, Squirtle's somebody I hadn't really thought about too much because I was thinking, you know, Keen just won against a Protoss, so don't want to go into that matchup again.
Squirtle is also out of Code S, so this means that he doesn't have to hide any builds, so you don't have to put him on the back. So that's something we could actually see Squirtle here.
Yeah, that's actually an extremely good point. You know, a lot of people really don't value how important it is if you're playing in an individual league to hide your strategies, and it's actually such a big deal. So for them to be able to use him flexibly here is going to give, you know, Hurai the feeling of, you know, Squirtle is definitely a card I've got in my hand right now, but he has to make the toughest decision of all because this player is going to have to defeat multiple MVP players in order to get that win.
Exactly. With the format that we have, all the maps that you can win are very important for the indicator in the rankings, but of course you always want to make sure that you get a win, which would only be the case if the next player for LGM takes down 3 opponents. And we are heading to this game. Squirtle to the top right. At the bottom left we have Lucira. And it is Kangho. It is him. It is Lucira. He is going to be the last player for LGIM.
This is, I think, the best choice they could have made. He's got the most experience out of the players who are left to do this. He's a great Heart of the Swarm player. You know, he's shown more results than most of the other players on that bench have. You know, Squirtle is an alternate option, but I feel like Lucira is the better all-around choice here. Switch up the matchup, make him play a Terran versus Zerg first, and then pull somebody else out of the hat.
Lucira, he is the one that LGIM relies upon now. Changed his name to his real name, Kangho. And we will see if he's the one to defeat Keen. But keep in mind, Keen's not the only opponent to face today. He needs to defeat 2 more opponents if LGIM is going to win this game today. And once again, he has like the fastest fingers in the GSL.
Yeah.
Not quite, but his APM is quite impressive.
It really is. He's also very good with the mouse, defeating pro players in tournaments using only the mouse in one particular case. You know, Lucira is the type of guy that you can really rely on in almost any situation. He's a player who is very aggressive, and he plays Zerg in a very attacking style way most of the time.
I love that they send him out.
Yeah.
What is going on with Era here? Look at that. He doesn't look happy at all. His head on the desk, and that was a weird picture.
Yeah, I think he's feeling a lot of stress right now. MVP slightly ahead. They're tied for 4th, if I'm not mistaken, and LGIM is at 5th right now. So LGIM losing this is a bigger deal than MVP losing it. They might actually, if they lose this here, it might be the reason why they don't go to the playoffs. So we'll see how that develops here. The map choice of Lucira is DMZ.
Keen looking strong today. Can he repeat his performance against a Zerg player? Lucira is a strong opponent to face, and this is going to be a really good match. DMZ, a good map for Terran versus Zerg. Really interested to see what kind of style we will see from Keen.
Yeah, I am stoked, man, for this match. Keen looking dominant against Younghwa, but he has to switch gears now. Very different type of map. This map is all about Widowmine control on both sides. If you make sure your Widowmines are well spread, you can keep them out, keep them alive.
Sniper has shown it. His Widowmine control was awesome. He always had the splits there to make sure that the Widowmines only got a couple of kills, not too many. Didn't really slow his movements and his push. But now can Lucira do the same? LGIM is not happy at all.
Yeah. This map, by the way, I feel is kind of like a cross between Crossfire, but it takes the good parts of Crossfire and then combines it with, like, what was that map that started with an M? That was in the GSTL before? No. Muspelheim. It's kind of like Muspelheim with Crossfire combined. It's how I look at this map. There's a lot of hills and ramps in the middle of the map, but you can avoid them. So it's how you choose to engage which becomes important on this map, and where you choose to put your army. Do you want to concentrate your force in the middle of the Widowmines on those ramps, or do you want to go around the side and try to avoid the creep? Because the creep's usually going through that middle as well.
And talking about the team match, you can really see that the MVP bench is already thinking about the next players, the next two players. They are debating, okay, what happens if Lucira wins the next game? Who's going to be the third player? Who's going to be the fourth? They have now all the time in the world to think about all these things and make sure that they have the best strategy possible. Talking about, well, how confident are you in your abilities against Zerg players? What do you know about Lucira's style in particular? What kind of map can we choose if he's going to win now? Lucira, that is. So they have all the options, and this guy, he has a mountain to climb now.
Yeah. And for LGIM, this is it. There's no advice that they can give to any other player. It's all on Lucira. He's now set up in the lobby. He's got all of his settings ready. And Lucira, it's all up to him. If he wins a game, that's when they can talk to him and say, all right, stay calm, stay cool. But for right now, he's the last man standing. He loses a single map, and it's all over.
Yeah. One map, that is all MVP needs to win. One single map. Hirai with a very, very tough spot. In Team League, his team did not do well in 2012, and so far the trend continues in 2013, even though they wanted to achieve a lot here. They wanted to win this season, but it doesn't look good. There we have MVP, not the last player for his team. Neither is Bella Squirtle. Both of them also on screen.
MVP looking very, very confident here. It's like they're already set up. If he loses, yeah, we got the next player ready. And I am watching Swagger right now, not looking like a slacker. In fact, with his pencil out even, ready to go.
TRG is pumped. You can really see him.
This is such an important match for Lucira. He has to win this one. He has to, of course, win the next few as well, but the best indicator you can hope for is is at least what he wants. You know, if he loses here, it's better than losing, or if he loses the next match, better than losing this one. Let's get into the game. Lucira is finally set up and ready. The map is DMZ. This is the GSTL Season 1 for 2013, casted by Caldor and Wolf.